Jennifer Walsh couldn't wear shoes anymore. At 70 years old, her ankles were so swollen, she wore slippers everywhere. To her daughter's wedding, even to church on Easter Sunday. The worst part? Every single wedding photo showed her in those gray, fuzzy slippers next to her daughter in a beautiful white gown. I'm Dr. Sandra Serrati, and I need to tell you what Jennifer's gastroenterologist never mentioned. The medication protecting her stomach was depleting the exact minerals her body needed to drain fluid. And when I showed her how to replenish those minerals with one simple snack, her ankles drained in 4 hours. 4 hours. After 3 years of constant swelling. Let me paint the picture of Jennifer's rock-bottom moment. Her daughter's wedding was on a Saturday in June. Beautiful outdoor ceremony, reception at a country club. Jennifer had spent months planning what she'd wear. She'd bought a gorgeous navy blue dress, had her hair done, her nails painted a soft pink. But when she woke up that morning and looked at her ankles, her heart sank. They were massive, swollen so badly the skin was shiny and tight, stretched to its limit. She could barely bend her feet. The throbbing pain was constant, like her ankles were pulsing with every heartbeat. She looked at her shoe collection. 23 pairs of shoes lined up in her closet. Not a single pair would fit over those swollen ankles, not even close. So Jennifer made a decision that would haunt her for years. She wore her slippers, those gray fuzzy slippers, to her daughter's wedding. When the photographer asked for family photos, there they were, in every single shot. Gray fuzzy slippers next to her daughter's white satin heels, next to her son-in-law's polished dress shoes, next to every other guest in proper footwear. But the wedding wasn't an isolated incident. She wore slippers to the grocery store, every single time. Other shoppers would stare at her feet. She wore slippers to church, every Sunday. Even Easter Sunday, the most important service of the year, when everyone dressed in their finest. Jennifer sat in the back pew, tucking her feet under the seat, hoping nobody would notice. The swelling had taken over her life. Her ankles looked like balloons, stretched and shiny. The skin was so tight it felt like it might split open. When she pressed her finger into the swollen tissue, the indentation would stay there for minutes. The pain was constant. A deep, throbbing ache that radiated from her ankles up through her calves. By the end of each day, she couldn't bear to be on her feet for more than a few minutes at a time. Jennifer had been to doctor after doctor. Her cardiologist ordered an echocardiogram, stress tests, monitored her heart for weeks. Everything came back normal. Her heart was fine. Her nephrologist ran kidney function tests, checked her protein levels, did ultrasounds. Her kidneys were functioning perfectly. But nobody could explain why a 70-year-old woman with a healthy heart and healthy kidneys had ankles swollen to twice their normal size. When Jennifer came to my office, she was desperate. She brought her wedding photos with her, tears streaming down her face. I listened. And then I did something that Jennifer's other doctors apparently hadn't done in years. I pulled up her complete medication list and reviewed every single drug she was taking, line by line. And there it was, omeprazole, 20 milligrams daily, taken every single morning for the past 8 years. Jennifer had started taking omeprazole for reflux, terrible heartburn that would wake her up at night. The omeprazole worked beautifully for that. Within days, her reflux was gone. So she kept taking it, year after year. Here's what her gastroenterologist never explained. Omeprazole is a proton pump inhibitor, a PPI. It works by shutting down the acid-producing cells in the stomach. Less acid means less reflux. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Catastrophically wrong, because stomach acid isn't just there to cause reflux. Stomach acid has a crucial job. It breaks down food and helps your body absorb minerals, especially 3 critical minerals: potassium, magnesium, and calcium. When you take a PPI like omeprazole, you're essentially turning off your body's ability to extract these minerals from food. Day after day, month after month, year after year, your body slowly becomes more and more depleted. And these three minerals are absolutely essential for regulating fluid in your body. They control how water moves between your bloodstream and your tissues. They tell your kidneys when to hold on to fluid and when to release it. They maintain the delicate balance that keeps your ankles from swelling up like balloons. Let me explain exactly how this works. Your body is constantly moving fluid around, from your bloodstream into your tissues, from your tissues back into your bloodstream. This movement is controlled by mineral concentrations. Think of these minerals like traffic signals. They tell fluid where to go and when. When your mineral levels are balanced, fluid flows smoothly. But when you're depleted in these minerals, those traffic signals stop working. Fluid doesn't know where to go. It leaks out of your bloodstream into your tissues and just sits there, trapped. And where does gravity pull that trapped fluid? Down. To your ankles, to your feet. That's why Jennifer's ankles were so swollen. 8 years of omeprazole had depleted her body's mineral stores so severely that her fluid regulation system had completely broken down. Her heart was fine, her kidneys were fine, but her body had no way to tell that fluid to move out of her ankles and back where it belonged. Before Jennifer came to me, she'd tried everything to reduce the swelling. First, her primary care physician prescribed diuretics, water pills. Jennifer started taking furosemide, 40 milligrams every morning. And yes, she urinated constantly, but the swelling barely improved, and now she was dizzy all the time, lightheaded, weak. Why? Because the diuretics weren't just flushing out fluid, they were flushing out the very minerals her body desperately needed. Her potassium levels dropped so low that her doctor got alarmed phone calls from the lab. Then came the compression socks. Medical-grade compression stockings. Jennifer bought 3 pairs, $40 each. She'd spend 20 minutes every morning struggling to pull them on. And they hurt. They cut off her circulation. Her toes would go numb, and when she finally peeled them off at night, her ankles would immediately swell right back up. The only thing that gave her any relief was elevating her legs. For an hour, maybe 2, the swelling would go down slightly. But the moment she stood up, gravity would pull all that fluid right back down. When I explained to Jennifer what was really happening, she asked me the question I was hoping for. So if I need more of these minerals, how do I get them? And don't say supplements because I tried those and they didn't work. She was right. Supplements hadn't worked because she couldn't absorb them properly. We needed a different approach. I told her about kale. 1 cup of raw kale contains 447 milligrams of potassium. That's more than a banana. The highest potassium content you can find in a leafy green. It contains 24 milligrams of magnesium and 101 milligrams of calcium. More calcium per cup than milk. These 3 minerals together are exactly what Jennifer's body needed to restart its fluid regulation system. But there was a problem. Jennifer hated kale. She'd tried kale salads, kale smoothies. The texture was tough and bitter. So I taught her how to make kale chips. The recipe is stupidly simple. Take 1 bunch of fresh kale, wash it thoroughly, and tear it into chip-sized pieces. Remove the thick stems. Toss the pieces with 1 tablespoon of olive oil and a generous pinch of sea salt. Spread them out on a baking sheet. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes until the edges are crispy and brown. What comes out of the oven doesn't taste like kale. It tastes like potato chips, crispy, salty, crunchy chips. Jennifer was skeptical, but she agreed to try. That night, she went home and made her first batch of kale chips. She ate 2 cups of them while watching television. The next morning was when everything changed. Jennifer ate her kale chips at 10 a.m. 2 full cups of them. At 2 p.m., 4 hours later, she looked down at her ankles. She called me crying, not sad crying, shocked, disbelieving, joyful crying. Her ankles were visibly smaller. The swelling had gone down, not completely, but noticeably. She could see the bones in her ankles for the first time in months. The skin wasn't stretched quite so tight. The throbbing had lessened. By 6 p.m., 8 hours after eating the kale chips, Jennifer did something she hadn't done in 3 years. She walked to her closet, pulled out a pair of flat black shoes, and slid her feet into them. They fit. Not comfortably, not perfectly, but they fit. She could get them on. She could walk in them. She stood in front of her mirror wearing real shoes and sobbed. The next day, Jennifer made another batch of kale chips. Same recipe, same amount. By 2 p.m., her ankles looked even better. By 6 p.m., she wore her shoes for an hour. After 1 week of eating kale chips daily, Jennifer's swelling had reduced by 80%. She was wearing shoes every day. After 1 month, she went shoe shopping. She bought 3 new pairs, normal width. They fit perfectly. After 3 months, Jennifer wore heels to her grandson's baptism. Low heels, just 2 inches, but heels. She stood for the entire ceremony. She framed one of those photos and put it next to her daughter's wedding album. A reminder of how far she'd come. I want to give you Jennifer's exact protocol, step by step. Buy 1 bunch of fresh kale from your grocery store, around $3. Wash the kale thoroughly under cold water. Pat it dry. Tear the kale into chip-sized pieces, about 2 inches across. Remove the thick stems. Put the torn kale pieces in a large bowl. Add exactly 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Add a generous pinch of sea salt. Toss everything together with your hands, making sure every piece of kale is lightly coated. Spread the kale out on a baking sheet in a single layer. Don't overlap the pieces. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes. Watch them carefully toward the end. You want the edges to be brown and crispy, but not burnt. Let them cool for a few minutes. They'll get even crispier as they cool. Eat 2 cups of kale chips at 10 a.m. as your mid-morning snack. Not on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, but after breakfast had been digested. Pay attention to your body at 2 p.m., 4 hours later. Look at your ankles, touch them, compare them to how they looked that morning. Most people see visible reduction in swelling at this point. Check again at 6 p.m., 8 hours after eating the kale chips. This is when Jennifer could put on real shoes. Repeat daily. Jennifer made a fresh batch every single day. The cost? 1 bunch of kale makes enough chips for 2 days. $3 divided by 2 treatments equals $1.50 per dose. Let me explain the science behind why kale chips work so powerfully and so quickly. When you eat kale chips, you're delivering a massive dose of bioavailable minerals. These aren't isolated mineral supplements that need stomach acid to break them down. These are minerals embedded in plant fiber, packaged with other nutrients that help absorption. The potassium in kale is particularly important. Potassium is the primary mineral that controls fluid balance in your cells. When potassium levels are adequate, your cells can pump excess fluid back into your bloodstream. From there, your kidneys filter it out and you urinate it away. That's why Jennifer's swelling reduced so quickly. Within hours of eating potassium-rich kale chips, her cells finally had the tools they needed to release trapped fluid. The fluid moved from her ankle tissues back into her blood. Her kidneys filtered it out. Her swelling went down. The magnesium in kale supports this process. Magnesium is required for hundreds of reactions in your body, including the ones that move fluid across cell membranes. The calcium in kale helps maintain proper fluid pressure in your blood vessels. Together, these 3 minerals create a synergistic effect. They don't just slightly improve fluid balance, they restore it completely. This is documented in medical literature. A study published in JAMA showed that long-term PPI use significantly depletes magnesium and calcium levels. Another study in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases demonstrated that mineral depletion is a direct cause of peripheral edema, swelling in the ankles and feet. But none of Jennifer's doctors mentioned these studies. None of them thought to check her mineral levels. Jennifer isn't the only patient I've helped with this protocol. Patricia was 68 years old. She'd been taking omeprazole for 6 years. Her ankle swelling was equally severe. She described her ankles as feeling stuffed, like they were packed full of cotton. I put Patricia on the exact same protocol. Kale chips every day at 10 a.m., 2 cups. Patricia's results were nearly identical. 4 hours after her first batch of kale chips, her ankle swelling was visibly reduced. 8 hours later, she could wear shoes she hadn't fit into in 2 years. Within a month, Patricia's ankles looked normal. The skin was no longer shiny and stretched. The throbbing pain was gone. If you're taking a proton pump inhibitor, omeprazole, esomeprazole, lansoprazole, pantoprazole, any of them, you need to know this. These medications are not as benign as they seem. Long-term PPI use causes progressive mineral depletion. It's not a possibility, it's a certainty. Your body cannot absorb adequate minerals without stomach acid. And when your minerals become depleted, you don't just develop swollen ankles. You can develop bone fractures because of calcium depletion. You can develop muscle cramps and heart rhythm disturbances because of magnesium depletion. If you've been on a PPI for more than a year and you have swollen ankles, there's a very good chance the two are connected. I'm not telling you to stop your PPI without medical supervision, but I am telling you to have a conversation with your doctor. And I'm telling you to start replenishing your minerals immediately. Here's what I want you to do today. Go to your grocery store and buy 1 bunch of fresh kale. $3. Tonight, make your first batch of kale chips. Follow Jennifer's recipe exactly. Tomorrow morning, after breakfast, around 10 a.m., eat 2 cups of those kale chips. Then, at 2 p.m., 4 hours later, look at your ankles. Really look at them. At 6 p.m., 8 hours after eating the kale chips, try on a pair of shoes you haven't been able to wear. If you see improvement, and I think you will, do it again the next day. And the day after that. Make it part of your daily routine. Jennifer wore slippers to her daughter's wedding. 3 years of suffering because nobody connected the dots. 3 years that could have been avoided with a $3 bunch of kale. Don't waste another 3 years. Don't miss any more important moments because you can't wear shoes. Try kale chips. Give your body the minerals it's been desperately missing. Watch your ankles drain. Jennifer keeps a photo on her refrigerator now. It's from her grandson's baptism, the one where she wore heels for the first time in years. Next to it, she taped one of the wedding photos, the one where she's wearing gray, fuzzy slippers. She keeps it there as a reminder of where she was and how far she's come. Every morning when she makes her kale chips, she looks at both photos, the slippers and the heels, the before and the after. I'm telling you that now. If your ankles are swollen, if you can't wear shoes, if you've tried everything and nothing has worked, there's an answer. It's simple, it's affordable, and it works. Try it. Today, I'm Dr. Sandra Serrati, and I'll see you in the next video. To get free health tips and daily diet plans just like these, join our WhatsApp community now. Scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description below. Stay healthy, stay happy.